and welcome to Add More Zest. My name's Rebecca and it is time to do another section of Walking in the Rain. So this is my big project. This is the project that I do once a week on a Thursday during a WIP and Waffle. I'm just trying to zoom in and also move my canvas about to keep it in the middle. So yeah, this is the painting that I do every Thursday, and then I will do sections on it when I finish one of my current WIP, whatever that may be. If I ever finish my current WIP and before I've de-kitted it and kitted up my next one, I will work on this one in between, which hasn't happened for a while. So most of these last few sections you will have seen on video. But it is 100 and, is it 92? My brain has gone completely. Yes, 192 colours. So I have 3 trays. So I've just completed my tray with all the symbols that are a different colour. So yellow, blue, red. I like to do that one first because then I can get rid of that tray and then I only have 2 trays left. 2 full trays of colours, all the rest are black. I am going to get this one here because there is only one of them. And it keeps shouting at me. It's like a neon light. And then let's see how far we get with this. This is where I now refamiliarise myself with the orders I've got things in my trays. I have done a video on how my trays are set up. But I've sort of grouped things together. So like letters, numbers, symbols, and their symbols are like broken down into circle ones, square ones, symbols found on the keyboard, etc, etc. But we're on probably some of the most blockiest sections that this painting has in these sort of last bits across the top. So we'll see how long it takes us to get today's section done. For today's comments chattiness, I am going to be going through some of the comments on June WIP and Waffle. I am up to comments on the 15th of June, so halfway through. But then what I'm going to do from next week is for this Thursday project one, I will read the comments from this video. And then Sunday's WIP and Waffle I'll read through from the oldest, if that made any sense at all. So before June Waffle happened, my normal stance was to read comments from the Thursday big project on a Thursday and read comments left on the Sunday WIP and Waffle on a Sunday. As I get close, as June Waffle started, I read any existing outstanding comments all together. And then of course I've got lots of comments from June Waffle and from last Sunday's Waffle to go. But because Thursday's video is more of a set amount, so it's one section, and therefore that takes as long as it takes, but it's often a shorter video. I'm going to switch next week to reading comments from this video. And then I will play catch up on the June Waffle comments on Sunday WIP and Waffles, because I'm going to try and fit in a few longer ones, depending on how this weather goes, because today is so muggy. All the flying ants have started coming out. It's that muggy weather. Really, really muggy day. And the UK weather could go either way now. So it could go to being rather nice, and we have a few days of nice weather, or it could just go to being rainy. Who knows? But today is, considering it's been the first dry day we've had in quite a while, the air is unbearable today. So let's hope things get better. Anyway, comments, etc. So Lady Dax, she said halfway there on the June waffle, and she has finished the custom of herself and her dad. She said just in time for Father's Day tomorrow here in the UK. She says she's sure that her dad would have loved it, and I agree, because I saw the completed image on Facebook and it looks absolutely amazing. It's turned out so well. She says anyway, she says she's now starting a 30 by 40 custom of her brother-in-law's dog for his birthday. She had to go to a different supplier, and it's also a colour photo, so she has no idea what it's going to be like, because she's done a couple of customs but they've been from the same supplier. She says she'll be posting it in the group. She says, so watch this space. She says, oh, and she says a day in the life of AMZ sounds wonderful. I will try and fit in a day in the life of Add More Zest. Megan breaks up from school this next week, though we always have big plans of things we're going to get to do in the summer holidays, and they absolutely fly by. So much quicker than when the kids were younger and used to have summer holidays. They felt longer for some reason. I wonder why. But no, I used to love summer holidays. Even when the kids were younger. I loved it when they were all at home. Anika, she says, hitting pause. She says, weather is a subject we can all rant about now and again. She said, it's supposed to be summer and it's midsummer in a week. She said, and it's raining. Yes, that has been our UK weather pretty much so far. She says, and it will do for another week or two. She says she's not happy. She had to leave her cabin in the woods to go back home, to go back to the city because of the rain and cold weather. She said she was quite literally freezing her ass off. She says, not nice, not at all nice. She said she needs sunshine and warm weather or she will go back into hibernation. Bless you. It has been a pretty miserable summer so far, and considering this is the first nice day we've had in ages, it is so muggy. It's just like, people are just like, oh, why are we bothering with nice weather if it's going to be this muggy the whole time? Because frankly, it's sticky and disgusting. Female versus life. I like that username. She says, hi. She says she's kind of a new subscriber. She says, but she's just not one to comment. Well, hello and welcome to one of the quieter ones. She says she's been diamond not as long. She said she did start up a couple of years back, but then she took a break and then she's just started back up again in March. She's finished 5 to 6 snack size up to around 30 by 40 size paintings, round drill. She says, but mostly using her own rhinestones or ABs to make her budget painting a bit more exciting. I like that idea. I'm not that good at changing things up, but I do try to change things up where I can. She says, as of right now, she is working on a diamond art painting she bought when she first started, but just never did it. She started it on the 13th and it's Diamond Art Club Into Wonderland by Jojo's Art. She said it's 51 by 71 centimetres square. She hasn't done anything this big and squares for a long time. She said so it might take her a year. That's fine. It is not a race at all. It all depends on how much time you get to diamond paint. The longest one took me 4 years, so not to worry at all. She says she's excited to get to the Chester Cat because she plans to use glow in the dark on his eyes and teeth, which she bought them at the same time she bought the painting. She says your weather in Britain seems a lot like the weather here in Wisconsin. She says she loves listening to my WIP and chats while she diamond paints. And she loves the idea of sectioning a diamond painting and doing a section a day. Oh, helps if the diamond actually gets off the pen. It's having a moment. I took the diamond off and picked another one up and it still didn't want to go down. She says she's never done a section diamond painting. She says, but she would love to try. She said she probably can't do it on this one as of limited space and time. She says, but another diamond painting. She says she would love to see a video on how to set a diamond painting up with sections. She says she hopes I have a wonderful week. Oh, thank you. All my preparation videos for June waffles, so there are a few over the years. If you go to any of my June waffle playlists, you should find the beginning ones are the setup. I think there was 1 year I did a Paint Gem Mini a day, so that didn't have sectioning up a painting in the same way. But there are loads of others. And then also the December events in the playlist for those. The preparation video, which again will be one of the first videos in the playlist, also has sectioning, but sectioning into 24 or 25. Depending on which painting it was, because I did do an advent calendar painting, so that did end up with 25 instead of 24. But 24 is normal for me for December. So yeah, either any of those kitting up paintings will just show how different ways that I may have kitted things up and section them off. And I'll also talk through the ways that I sort of, figure out how I'm going to set things up. This June waffle painting was the biggest painting I've done. So it was actually bigger than 30 sections of cover paper. So I did something a little bit different this year to still do a section a day and still be finished by the end of June. But then there's others that, of course, have been smaller and therefore they've had smaller sections. So you can see how I've kitted up a few different ones. So that's probably the best way to just see a few and see what works for you. Julia Landry, she said she's finished 2 paintings since the 1st of June. Awesome progress. I got 1 done in June. And so far in July, the result is a big fat 0. I've done some diamond painting, but I have not completed a diamond painting in July. I think that will possibly be the first month that I've not moved anything to my completed, though my memory could be wrong. I'd have to actually look through my logbook to confirm, but I think I've completed something every other month. But yeah, July is not likely to be a completed month, unless, as say, the Paint Gem mini set that I kit up for doing on my holiday. I was going to add in the paintings to mix in with all my other Paint Gems, but maybe I'll do that one on its own and try and finish them. I'm a little bit undecided. I kind of feel like it would be good to have a finish in July. It's just whether I fancy doing the whole of the summer set of Paint Gem Minis, though it's a nice set, so I'm not against that either. Plus, I could do with getting some completed because I've had 2 more arrive this week that I could do with actually getting some completed as well. Would be nice. Keep that stash on a nice level. Nora, she says, thank you for reading her comment yesterday. She said it was nice. It was fun to hear it. She says, you have become a kind of therapist, she says, for her. She says she has, stage 3 lung cancer. And she's going through treatment. She says, having diamond painting in your chat, she says, makes the day much easier and better for her. She says diamond painting has taken, can't do 2 things at once there. Has taken her mind off the cancer and onto pleasant things. She says your mind can go into overdrive with the worry, and distraction is great. She says she does recommend diamond painting for anybody who is struggling. Oh, bless you. Diamond painting definitely can help with things like that, especially in an evening. When you get tired, that's when your mind can often very much go into a bit more overdrive than at other times of the day. And diamond painting isn't something that is, needs too much energy. It's too strenuous. And can therefore, not be something you would consider doing in an evening. But do make sure that you take care of you, and hopefully all our WIP and chats and comments and things back into will keep you company on those evenings. Alley Cat, she says she's all caught up once again. She said she was hoping that that when she attended the Waffle, she said that all my water issues had been resolved. She said she was sorry to hear that we were still dealing with that. Yes, hubby saw somebody outside on the camera messing with the water again the other day. He was like, they better not have turned it off. I was like, they better not, because I would be round there flipping sharpish if they were stupid enough to do it for a second time. But yeah, I didn't end up noticing any difference with the water, but they're still decorating in there. When I walked past, when I took Luna to the groomers, I did notice that they had like plastic sort of covering the front room window, as though they were doing some decorating or something in there, because they have recently moved in, though there was no cars or vans or anything on the drive. So I'm not sure whether it's something they're doing themselves outside of work hours or whether they've got trades in. I'm not exactly sure. I know I've got one of my hairs floating about, needs to get itself out the way. So yeah, but for now it's been fine, and hopefully they are going to leave it the heck alone. Right, another green done. You can see when you end up seeing like how many shades of green end up in this bit and how little there is of some of them in there. I mean, I am nearer the end of the painting, but some of these symbols are not ones that I remember seeing regularly in earlier parts of the painting. So you can see how you end up with so many colours. But considering this isn't even half of the DMC colours that are available. So 192 might seem like overkill, but it is nowhere near even all the colours that they do. Pebbles, she says you could just use a phone. She says if you have a spare or an old one to film your day in the life of video. She says most have a time-lapse option, she says, which is perfect for that sort of thing. Yeah, that is something I'm going to look into. We don't sort of have a spare phone. Phones here tend to either get passed to someone else in the house for them to have an upgrade, or they get traded in, because we don't do a phone with a contract. They're just too ridiculously expensive now. We do SIM only and buy phones, so we tend to keep going until we have to, I suppose, with trading in, or until somebody who's got less of a phone needs one and one of us has been eyeing up a newer one, and then we might go and treat ourselves to a phone upgrade. But yeah, something like that is probably what I'm going to have to look into, because my actual camera that I film this with won't work on sort of time lapse. It's not set up that way. So my phone might be my better option. I will just have to see, have a mess about with the settings and see if I can find a place to sort of set it up and let you guys see me in and out and here and there and everywhere else. Working around, add more zest. It's Advent packing time, so maybe you can get to see a bit of that chaos, albeit it would be next year, but maybe I could give that a sort of a go and see if it worked out any good, and use those as my practice sessions maybe, and then show you them later on. Tiffany, she says, hi Rebecca. She says she is finally starting to feel better from her second round of COVID. So glad you're feeling better. It can hit completely different, I think, each time, depending on what strain you've got as well. I think can vary how you can feel. So some people can be like, oh, I feel fine after COVID, and then they get it again and it knocks them for six, or the other way around. They get knocked for six the first time and then get it again and think, oh no, here we go, and it doesn't feel like much at all. So, and that can vary from person to person as well, I think, sometimes. First time definitely knocked me for six, so I'm kind of hoping that any ones after that won't knock me as much, but who knows. COVID has been round our house and I have had a tickly cough that has hung around since, so maybe that's just what I've got from this second lot. Who knows? Right, I've got two symbols here. I'm currently working with what I call like a target. So it's like a circle with a cross around it. But there's also some diamonds within a diamond. Symbols that are very close. And I sort of feel like I have to look at them at least 2-3 times. And I'm probably still going to have missed one. They're different symbols, but they still look confusing when together. She also says, she's wondering how many trays you can print at once on one 3D printer. She said, is it like the print bed size big enough to print 2 or 3 AMZ trays at once on one printer? So we can actually print 4 AMZ trays on one printer at one time, or we can print 5 zesty trays is the maximum we've managed to get on one print bed at the same time. And how many we print actually tends to sort of vary depending on what it's for. So I don't like having to scroll through multiple different file types, because if you think, we have the no lines trays in all 3 sizes, then we have all 3 sizes of trays, and we have the trash tray, and then we have the stripe tray, which we have in 2 sizes. So that's already quite a lot of files to sort of flip through to be able to pick the one I want to print with. So at the moment, because the stripe trays tend to only be for launch at the moment, they're only for launch times, which means we print a big batch of them. We have those both set to 4. And then we have a file for it to print 1. So that is more, say, the first one that we do to check that we're happy with it, or if we're getting near the end of a roll of filament and it's the last of it, we might print 1 and then maybe 1 again, you know, so that we can judge when the roll's going to run out. But for stock trays, I tend to just print them singly. I'm always pretty much about in the shop to sort of take one off and tell it to print the next one. And yeah, just to avoid multiple file types to have to scroll through, it seems to be easier, because every time the printer prints one, it creates a second file for everything. So you think all the files we've got, and then like double them or triple them, and it's a lot of files. But yeah, I was thinking next time we sort of mess about, not so much mess about, but next time I work on a design that needs a file creating for the printer, then I might look at putting those extra options on some of the printers so that I can just print 4 stock trays at once and not have to touch the printers for like 5 hours. Marsha, she says she's past the halfway point. She says she feels accomplished. Well done, you. She says she's catching up on yesterday's WIP and Waffle before listening to today's. She says yesterday she tried some watercolour pencils in a Millie Marotta book. She says today she is back working on her Dreamworld Fantasy from DIY Diamond Painting. She says there are huge patches of solid colours, as well as confetti patches of confetti heaven. That sounds like a nice one, a nice mixture of the two, confetti and blockiness. I'm really enjoying doing On the Last Day at the moment, which is my current WIP, like off-camera WIP and Sunday WIP, because it has actually got some sections where there's quite a lot of one colour, and it might be 1 or 2 colours where I'm multi-placing away, and then all of a sudden it goes down to loads of confetti. She did say, she says, while she is whipping away, hubby is messing about with the TV and the Wi-Fi and cable wires. He recently changed their service providers from phone, Wi-Fi and TV to 3 separate providers to 1 single fibre optic provider. And it's taken time to get all the components switched over. And their bedroom TV is the last bit. Woohoo! End is in sight. She said he's frustrated and he's huffing and puffing. Not surprised. She says she's just listening to me and she's being very quiet. You obviously know how this game works. She says their old TV service ends tonight. She says, so he really needs to get this done. And he's put it off for 3 weeks now. She says her large TV is able to do YouTube. And it's so nice, she says, when watching lives or tutorials. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out what this one is. It's this one. She says, hopefully he'll get it going tonight. She says, but she's not holding her breath. She said he is 70 and he has some mobility issues. So she understands that he needs to feel useful and manly. So she holds her tongue, she says, and she's just thankful that he is able to do some things still. Yes, you just stay tucked in your own little corner, in your own little world. And I'm sure he will come out victorious, if not today, or the day he started doing this, maybe another day. But he will become victorious soon enough. Jess, she says, Jim's handmade pens can do the small pens. Also butterfly effect wares, she says, both on Etsy. So there you go. If you want a mini pen, it's about half the size of a normal pen. There's a couple of suppliers that can do them on Etsy. I think you'll probably find that most resin, like handmade resin diamond painting pens, will be able to do the small ones. If they don't already have them listed, it might be a matter of asking the question, but I'm sure many will. Tiffany says she seconds having a day in the life of AMZ videos. I will see what I can do. No promises at the moment. The weather will need to be better than what it is today. That's not hotter, just not muggy. It needs to be nowhere muggy. Actually feel like I can move would be good. Crystal, she says, hello, Rebecca, she says, and fellow Zesties. She says she got behind on WIP and Waffles, and she says it's all my fault. Awesome. What's my fault? Yeah, like what caused it to be my fault? Sorry. I'm more than happy for it to be my fault though. She says, I kept talking about having a tidy up and what you were doing around the house. She says, while she has been sitting doing nothing much lately. She says, oh, when hubby died, she says she worked on the house like a mad woman. She cleaned, painted and switched her bedroom and craft room because she couldn't sleep in there anymore. She says at the 6-month mark, she says she hit a wall. The grief has been horrible since. She says, but she's been wanting to change her bedroom and her craft room back again. She says, mind you, she says her craft supplies are not small in number. And take up a regular size American room, which is 10 foot by 12 foot, which to us UK people sounds huge. Yeah, that is huge. I'm trying to sort of work out what that even is in meters, but I know full well already that is huge. She says, finally, a few days ago, she says she noticed she wasn't excited to watch and she had to ask herself why. She says then she realised that she was avoiding the cleaning talk. Oops. She says she gave her the motivation to get up and do it. She says, so even though it was not my intention, she said it made her get it almost completely done in 2 days. She says, so thank you. Oh, bless you. Well, I hope that brings you a bit of peace. It's not going to make things right, but it's going to have one less thing that you are worrying about, wondering about, and all that comes with that. And being back in that bedroom will be different now. It was always going to be different, but it will be different for a different reason now. Maybe it's just your brain telling you you're ready for it. And I hope you've enjoyed organising all your crafty goodies, because that's the bit that would excite me. That's for sure. But in relation to cleaning and stuff, not going to be discussed as much today, because that would just guilt me, because this house needs another blitz through. Well and truly. And it may get done at some point. Well, it will get done at some point, but how soon it will be will depend on how much it is driving me up the wall. I'd even be tempted to go and do some bits after this video if it was not so absolutely awful to be in this weather. It is dreadful. Right, why am I not thinking? Because it's not that one, it's this one. See, this does look more like an elongated diamond shape, whereas the one I had hold of was more of a square tipped on its side. This colour matches a lot better. Jerry, she says, hi Rebecca, she says, and all zesties. She says, everyone is talking about it freezing. She says, but they have had some hot weather in California. She says she thinks the highest temperature last week was 107 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 41 degrees Celsius. She says this is the temperature in the town that she works in. They didn't quite get that high in the mountains where she lives. She says the next day was 104, followed by 102. She says the weather has finally calmed down a bit. She said it was only 86 where she works, if she'd have been in work today, and 74 where she lives. She says the current temperature at home is 60 degrees, which is 15 degrees Celsius. She says at home we're normally about 20 degrees cooler than where she works. That has definitely got some fluctuation. But yeah, I have noticed some areas are sort of getting like all the heat. And then some places, all you hear us talking about is how miserable. How flipping miserable the weather is. Or lack of sun. Right, let me get this one changed over. I keep thinking, oh, I've only got a couple of colours, and then I'm like, oh no, there's another one. Oh no, there's another one. Right, where's that go? There. Right, dollar sign. Oh, going into some blues. From some greens into some blues. Liz, she says, thanks for this, Rebecca. She says, no worries on today's video being late. She says she did a section on Daylight by Puffigator from Diamond Art Club at 4 p.m-ish as usual. She says she's a creature of habit. I like that. She says, and caught up the video on Sunday morning while she was working on her bigger project. She says, which is Flower Shop by Mrs. Butterby, sorry, also from Diamond Art Club. She says both are round kits and she's really whizzing through. She says she started Witch's Flower Shop on the 12th of June and she's already, I think she's already halfway through the third line. She says she's not working with cover paper, but she is using Diamond Art Club's perforated sheets. So each section is slightly bigger. She said she loves the pretty cover paper that I sell. She says, and she has a small collection. She says, but she also thinks she is getting converted to the Diamond Art Club perforated sheets. And she's recently started adding extra enhancements, and some she only adds in certain sections. She says, so that has helped. She says also, if she has missed a couple of drills, she can see the next section and say, oh, okay, I'll work on this colour next, and do them all at the same time. She said, so saving herself. See, I wish I could do that, because even if I had to leave it until the next day, and then I could potentially pick the colour up on the next one, I wouldn't feel like it was completed until I'd actually put them all down. She says as she's peeled back the cover sheet, she said she didn't look at the uncovered section. She said unless placing the last couple of drills or a missed one. And then she does it when she's carrying on diamond painting. See, you have much more self-control than me, because I do not have the control for that. Madison, she says, hi Rebecca. She says, a question. She says, where do you order your Diamond Art Club kits? She says, in the website or on the app? On the website. I do have the app, but I much prefer ordering on the website. I just find it so much easier. I mean, you know, some details, of course, are saved because they do use Shopify, which can sometimes drive me up the wall, but that's a whole other story. But yeah, I just find the website so much easier to navigate, and if I do need to be typing anything in, I can actually touch type. So I can type while looking at the screen, not at the keyboard. It's the only thing I still use from school on a daily basis. But anyway, yeah, I can touch type. So I much prefer using the computer for anything sort of, I suppose, big. I find using my phone just takes me longer. She says, another great waffle. She says, hopefully she will be able to join with me. She says she's just waiting on her new pen so she can start diamond painting again. She says she loves how the painting is slowly coming together and popping. She says she loves the colours, and she does love pastel colours. She says, have a wonderful day. Oh, thank you, Madison. Right, last one, which is good because I am feeling the heat in here today. Right, this is what I want. This room isn't particularly warm. Sorry, my battery went last minute. Yeah, this room isn't like particularly like hot. It's just the mugginess. It is, yeah, I just need to find somewhere with a breeze. Any type of breeze would be nice. Liv's Dotting Den, she says she's just catching up on my video. She says she's just been back from the Girls Aloud concert. She says that was in Leeds last night. She says, and it was fab. She says arena staff were fantastic. She says for being able to change their seats as her mum had injured her ankle a few days before the gig. She has great view, she says, and they were covered by streamers in one of the songs. She says she thinks it's because it was one of the girls' birthdays. She says they had to go back on the bus replacement service as their train was not running at the time they needed to get back home. She says it was an adventure to say the least. Bus replacements instead of trains are flipping awful. Makes you realise why trains are trains are about, because they're faster. She says she got some time off work, which was much needed. She says we were originally going to go to Cornwall for the week. She says, but obviously we couldn't. She said due to Mum's misfortune. I've got one diamond. There we go. It was stuck on the inside of my tray. Anyway, got it out. She says they're originally going to go to Cornwall for the week, but obviously couldn't due to Mum's misfortune, as she can't drive, which must be so frustrating. Well, I hope you had a lovely time off. To be fair, I do love a good week of not having to do anything and just being able to be at home. That is the kind of weeks that I enjoy. So... but yeah, when you've got your mind set on going away, sometimes it can definitely put a dampener on things when you can't. Right, that section is done. Looks like a lot of blockiness, but really, apart from that first bit, it was quite confetti. I think it's much of the same further down, though we are getting some of this yellow bit, which is quite a bit blocky, but that will be next week. So say next week I think I'll read any comments from this video first, because I tend to do my longer WIP and waffles on a Sunday, and that's when I'll do longer chatty sessions and get through June, but that will go back into its box now until next week. So yeah, thank you all so much for joining me, and I'll speak to you all again soon.